And a guy told me to have your grandson help you.
Have grandchildren. That's awfully presumptive.
It's not that I don't know because no one's ever told me. I didn't grow up with this stuff. I don't know. So like my kids dating and nothing. I couldn't figure out how to get things to move up in the gynecologist to get things. See, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, the trackpad. Did he figure out the volume thing? I know you were struggling with that. Okay, good. Good.
This is me and this is that. And then now we're going to work on why library emails are going to junk mail all of a sudden.
Oh.
It's like, I don't know why that
It's just there's always something. Always something. Love it. Right. And if we're not learning, we might as well be dead. So there might as well be something else that I don't know. Yeah. It's Thanksgiving week, which is of course the time where everybody ever just goes like, let's all focus on gratitude, because that's the thing. And for a long time I was really resistant to that. Like, we're going to talk about different things on Thanksgiving week because I don't want to be cliche, but like we should talk about gratitude all the time. So yeah, I love returning to this. And so I was thinking, I was like, okay, I gotta have like a good reading or something. And I think I probably read this almost every year, but in the Book of Joy, which is conversations between the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu, one of the 8 was it 8 limbs of joy that they say? I think it's 8 limbs. I don't know, 8 steps. There's 8 of them. One of them is gratitude. And I love this. It's not happiness that makes us grateful. It is gratefulness that makes us happy. Every moment is a gift, and there is no certainty that you will have another moment with all the opportunity that it contains. The gift within every gift is the opportunity it offers us. Most often, it is the opportunity to enjoy it, but sometimes a difficult gift is given to us, and that can be an opportunity to rise to challenge. Exile, the Dalai Lama was talking about exile, and he says, it really has brought me closer to reality. When you are in difficult situations, there is no room for pretense. In adversity or tragedy, you must confront reality as it is. So when you are confronted with the reality of suffering, all of life is laid bare. So our most precious spiritual teachers, as they are often called, are called that because they help us to develop our practice and to cultivate equanimity even in the face of adversity, and compassion for our experiences, and gratitude for going through all of these things. I'm trying to paraphrase because this goes on forever, but it's on 242. So I think the second page as we go into the gratitude section. But like I mentioned a while ago, I've been starting my day by writing down affirmations and gratitude. And every time I try to write out one, I like make it into the other. Like I'm so like, this is what's going to go on today, and thank you. And all of that, and it just sets, it's this beautiful way to go about beginning the day. So we're going to start off with a small gratitude meditation. So we'll do face brushing, and then as we get settled in, we'll work into that. So taking your index finger and your thumb together, bringing it to the center of your forehead and brushing outwards towards your temples a few times. And then going from the sides of your nose out to your temples, along your cheekbones. And then tracing underneath your jawline. Just gently brushing in and out. And then between the corners of your mouth and the corners of your nose, just pressing inwards and holding for a moment. And then taking your fingertips underneath and behind your ears and lifting upwards from that bony spot that's right behind your ears. Maybe giving yourself a little massage, seeing what feels good there. And keeping that lift in your spine as you rest your hands down into your lap. You can close your eyes if that's comfortable to you. And as you settle into a steady flow of breath, Our gratitude meditation, maybe you could call it a little bit more like a gratitude list. And so every time you can think of something that you're grateful for, follow it up with something else. And it can be tiny and mundane and silly. I'm glad I put on my cozy socks this morning. I'm glad the crazy rain wasn't coming down for enough time for me to get to yoga. It can be big things too. Challenge yourself to keep going. Wrapping up whatever ideas and points of gratitude you've been running through. Taking a nice big breath in through your nose, big exhale through your mouth. Again, like that. For 3 ohms. And then as you open your eyes, we're going to take our legs and swing them over towards the right side so that you're sitting a little bit more over on one hip. So you won't be totally even. But if you leave the left hand on, you can take the right arm behind your back, and having the legs more in front of you is also okay. You don't have to have them tucked in too close if that's bothering your knees, but we're a little bit uneven so that you can lean over on one arm and take the other hand behind you. Now, if you need to just press the hand into your lower back, that's good. But if you can hold on to your bicep, your elbow. So you're going to use that pressure of your arm into your back or your hand into your arm to press the chest open, and then release your left ear over towards your left shoulder. Good. One more exhale. And then gently lifting your head up. You're going to cross this arm out in front of you and then work your way over into as much of a twist as feels good to you. And then start to walk your hands back over towards your legs, just kind of countering your twist. And then relax that twist and we'll swing the legs around to the other side. Now just set up your right arm in such a way that maybe you can hold onto your arm, or you can just press the back of your hand into the back of your torso. Lift the chest up and then release your right ear over towards your right shoulder. One more exhale. And release your Left arm from behind you, you'll walk both hands over towards the right just as much as you start to feel a twist happening. It's a little unsatisfying. And then start to bring your hands over towards your legs, towards your feet, just twisting the other way. And then release that, and we're gonna bring the soles of both feet towards each other with knees open. You can rock side to side a little bit, maybe even adjusting the flesh, and then pulling your heart up and up forward towards your feet. Maybe even pushing the feet gently together. One more exhale. And then releasing that pressure, you're going to take your left hand over towards your right knee, your right hand behind you, lift up from behind your ears. And then as you twist over your right shoulder, softening into your belly and relaxing your shoulders downwards. One more exhale. And then release that twist and wrap up for the other side. Just trying to stay tall through the spine, allowing your shoulders to drop down, allowing the heart to become a little bit softer. One more exhale. And then release the twist and start to draw yourself forward, just seeing if there's maybe any more room or things feel a little bit differently coming forward with the heart again. Just 2 more breaths. And start to lift yourself back up. And you're going to take your right leg in front. Go ahead and bring your left ankle onto that knee. Now, if you can scooch the foot in a little bit, if you can grab it and pull it in a little bit, look at a pretty deep opening in this hip. And then take your hands back behind you so that you're supported there. It's kind of a doozy to do this seated. A little bit different than coming down on the back, but we'll just do this one here. If you start to get a little bit more room, maybe starting to feel your heart lifting up. Two more breaths. And then let that right leg slide away from you. On the left one, and then we'll wrap up the ankle on the knee, kind of tuck it back in towards you, and then taking your hands back behind as you lift your chest up. Two more breaths. And then let your legs slide away from you. Go ahead and unwind both of them. And then we're going to roll over and come onto a Spanx Pose. So you can swing your legs back behind you and come down onto your belly and your elbows. So we'll be stacked up like so. And if you're feeling tense in the lower back, widening your legs just to be sure you're not putting too much pressure. Do put a little bit of pressure down into your elbows, and we're going to look slowly over the right shoulder and then over the left shoulder. Just keep moving the head gently from side to side. And one more time around. And taking your head forward and starting to look down and up and down and up. And one more time, just moving that head around. And taking the gaze forward, seeing if you can pick those shoulders up and open just a little bit more. And then widening your elbows and coming down to rest your head or your cheek. Take another big breath in, feeling the back side of your rib cage expanding. And as you exhale, let it soften. Do that one more time. And then sliding your hands in just behind your shoulders by your low ribs. Pick your hips up and try to push the rest of you up in one big motion. And then coming back to a seat, swing your legs out in front of you. Take your hands and flick water off of your fingers. So we're starting to get them a little bit warmer. And then shake the water off of your hands. And curl your hands around like you're stirring something or casting a spell. And try to reverse the spell just in case it wasn't a good one. I really have no idea. Right? Like, oh, nope, go back. Take your hands down by your hips. So you can have your hands facing a little out to the side, but try not to have them facing behind you. You're gonna lift the toes, lift the thigh muscles up towards your hips, and then lift your belly button like it's gonna scoop up inside of the bottoms of your ribs. And then as you push down into your hands, you might feel like your hips get a little bit lighter. And it's fine if they don't. It's fine if you just feel some of that drawing in and engaging and pressure down in the arms. So try to take one more big fluid, smooth breath in and out. And then relax that. And then we're going to bend into the knees, scoot your hips a little bit further forward. You're going to push down into the hands, but leave your hips down. This time, try to push your heart up into the sky, like your heart gets a little bit more buoyant. And on this one, if you're really feeling pressure in your wrist, you can definitely come up onto your fingertips, just giving yourself a little different angle. Big breath in. And exhale, soften. And then I'm going to straighten my legs out and bring my hands back in. I'm going to push them down and feel again that drawing in of my center. I'm going to get really long from the crown of the head of the backs of the ears up. Maybe my hips get a little bit lighter. One more exhale. And then relax it. And scooch forward or walk the hands back, little bend into the knees. And then pick the chest up. Get open here. So pushing down in the hands or just coming to fingertips instead. One more breath in. And then relaxing it as you breathe out. And then setting up again, you might have to wiggle your hips. We're going to go into staff pose again. And this time, if you were thinking like that last one, maybe to hover your hips up off of the ground, maybe you do that. Maybe it's just a little bit more lifted than it was before. You can just stay very, very engaged. You don't have to actually lift anything. One more exhale. And then relax it. And then this time, scoot your hips forward, come down onto your elbows. I like to make sure the tailbone is pointed down. So it's a little easier to have the tailbone pointed towards my feet. But if I scooch so the tailbone's pointed down, I'm already getting this arch in my spine. And then pushing the chest up, can look upwards or towards the place where the wall and the ceiling meet. One more breath in. And then go ahead and soften. And then come up to a seat. Just do whatever feels good with your legs. They can be on in front of you or they can be tucked in. You're going to take your thumbs and bring your thumbs into your armpits and just push up in your armpits and down in your elbows. So a little stretch to your thumbs, yeah. It's kind of like the farmer sort of thing, like in the overalls, yeah. And then that's a little bit weirder. Instead of the thumb, you're going to put all of the other fingers into your armpits. And then the elbows gently relax and they don't go nearly as far down. There's just not the range of motion to get it. And there's no need to put undue pressure there. Just one more exhale. And then shake your hands out. And we're going to go back into downward facing dog. So swing your legs back. We'll just do a brief visit there I'm gonna curl the toes under, press the hips up and back. Make sure you're using your fingertips and not just your wrists. And wiggle out through your heels and your hips a little bit if that feels good. And then widen your feet at the back of your mat. They might come to about mat width distance apart. And then you're gonna walk your hands back, bend your knees and come into a squat. Just gonna walk it right back so my hips are as far back as they can get. Take a big breath in. And then exhale, make the legs a little bit straighter. And then inhale, bend the legs a little bit more. Exhale, make them a little bit straighter. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. And then start to walk your hands up your legs, coming up to standing. Shift this a little bit. There we go. All right. Okay, we're here. I'm like, where are we going? We're going to come into a lunge. If you want to have the back heel down and stay in warrior one instead of a high lunge, that's going to work just fine. We'll just come here into this lunge, feeling the fronts of the hips opening up. So I want to push into my back foot as much as possible. Lifting the heart up. One more big breath in. And then exhale, bringing the hands to the heart. Lean forward slightly and step up to the front of your mat. Then take the other foot back and find that lunge again. Or warrior one, it's up to you. So if that feels better on your foot to have the whole thing done, you can have the whole thing down. But we want to feel the back foot pressing down in such a way that I really open up the front of this hip. Good. One more big breath in. Bring your hands to your heart, lean forward and see about taking one step. It can be many up to the front of your mat. And then you're going to take the other leg back again. This time, take your hands to your hips. And then take the opposite hand down to your outer thigh. Now make sure that your thigh didn't fall inwards. You need to keep it open. And then we're going to start to twist. Tom, switch hands. Yep. And then twist towards Melinda. Yeah. One more exhale. And then turning towards the front. Bring your hands back to your hips. Stand it up. And then step the other foot back. And then you're going to lean forward slightly, keeping your knee and toe forward. Take the opposite hand to your front thigh and take a little twist over towards that front leg. Yeah. Softening your belly as you rotate. One more exhale. And then facing towards the front, bring your hands to your hips, come to stand up. We're going to take the legs out wide on your mat. And then once you get the legs wide on your mat, we'll just take, let's say toes towards the back of the room and then bending into warrior two. So make sure that your back toes turn up slightly so that you've got a little bit of a shift towards the front foot with your pelvis. And then stay low in your legs, lift up, peaceful warrior. Taking your heart right up to your fingertips. Beautiful. Another big breath in. And exhale, return to warrior two. We're going to take the front elbow down and then reach the top arm over into side angle. Good. Keep pulling your front hip towards your back foot. Big breath in. Big breath out. Then draw your belly in to lift you all the way back up. You can straighten your leg and then shift your feet towards the front of your mat. Bending into that front leg, coming into warrior two, facing the other direction. Got your hips turned just slightly towards that front leg, so you've got a little bit more room to move around. And we'll take this upwards into peaceful warrior, lifting your heart up towards your hand. Taking one more big breath in, and then returning back to warrior two, taking it forward with the elbow down. Make sure that your hip is pulling back, and then the top arm goes up and over into side angle. Should feel pretty deep work in that bent leg hip, the one that, the one where you feel the stuff. One more exhale. And then lift yourself up. We're going to straighten the legs. We're going to turn both heels in so the toes are out. And you might need to bring your feet just a little bit closer together. We're going to come down into a little horse squat, a little Buddha squat. We're going to do it with the arms reaching down behind you. Now, if you can hold hands comfortably, try to reach them down. If you need to just reach the arms down on their own, reaching your fingertips down, then that's also a good option. But you want to push down into the pinky toe edges of your feet and try to drop your tailbone down as you lift the backs of your ears up. One more exhale. And then straighten your legs. And we're gonna go, take your feet a little bit closer, I think, everybody. Yeah, just a little bit more room to not have to put so much knee pressure down. And then we're just gonna stay tall in the spine and just go down for a breath. Inhale, exhale, and then come back up. And one more time down for a breath. Inhale, exhale, and then come back up. And then you can release your hands, and we're gonna do the opposite. We're gonna curl forward in old softball guy pose. So hips are still down, but you might have a little bend in your spine, little roundedness if you want to just shift around a little bit, if that feels good in your knees and your hips. One more exhale. And then starting to take yourself up. And you're gonna take your heels back again, but not quite parallel. They're a little bit turned out. And then bend into the leg at the back of your mat so that you push your hips back behind you and get some of this inner thigh stretch. Yeah. One more exhale. Then standing up, shifting to the other side, pushing your hips back. Make sure the weight goes back, that you're pushing this bent leg, pushing that foot down. And then bringing yourself back up. And then turning the toes so that they are parallel and bringing your fingertips down to the floor or to your shins, letting your head relax. One more breath out. And a little bend into your knees, bring your hands to your hips and come to standing. We're gonna bring the legs in. We're gonna take a little standing balance and try triangle pose. That would be a weird stand. What is a standing balance? Tree pose is what I was going for. So if you wanted to come anywhere at all in the room, if you needed to shift yourself around, face a different way, have something to hold on to, anything's a good choice. But we're gonna focus on this open pelvis and lifting those fronts of the hips as we go. So placing your hands wherever it makes sense to you, feeling the backs of your ears lift up, firmly rooting your standing foot down. Ooh, maybe one more breath. And then setting that foot down, shaking things out just in case you feel, if you feel a lot of gripping or if you feel really heavy on one side when you're balancing, that's a good indication that we might not be lifting out of that joint a little bit. So just kind of keeping that as a thing to consider to lift up out of that joint. We'll go to the other leg. And hands can go at your hips or at your heart or up in the air, finding different branch positions. Yeah, lifting up out of that standing leg. Nice. Maybe one more breath. And then setting your foot down and wiggling things out a little bit. We're going to come back up towards the front of our mat and back onto our space and set your feet about mat width apart so that they're pretty wide. And then you're going to bend into your knees, get your hips back behind you, And then take your hands down and try to hold the backs of your ankles or the backs of your shins. And then once you get that, relax your head. And then you're gonna see if, and this is a big if, can I straighten my legs a little bit more? Yeah. Big fold, big wrap inside. One more exhale. And then start to unwind your arms. We're just gonna go ahead and take the hands down and take the knees down into table pose. So if you need to pad up the floor, fold your mat over, go ahead and do that. I'll mirror you. Take your right foot outside of your right hand, and that may be some adjustment of the foot. And then start to lift your heart up and push down into this foot. You'll need to push down in it a lot. We're gonna try something a little bit weird. You're gonna try to take your right hand and move it outside, like underneath. Yeah, so you're gonna start off on the inside and slide it out. Yep, and then that one got weird. And then we're gonna move the other one out, and you can even just come to fingertips here. If you're feeling really saucy, you can try to fly for a moment. Yeah, it's a weird one. Take your hands down. If one day you're feeling really frisky, you can do it with the back knee off of the ground, but it's a weird thing to think, especially when the breath is weird when we're all in masks and stuff. So if that's like maybe like a goal or a fun thing to play with, it's flying lizard. Yeah, okay. And then unwind that arm. Go ahead and take that leg back. And then bringing the other one forward. We won't spend a lot of time on our knees, but this is too much fun to let go of when we're doing this kind of practice. So one arm goes under and the other arm goes out too. And then I got to push this foot down. Otherwise, I don't have anything to hold me up. Good. And then maybe I'm even still breathing. And then that lizard has flown enough. Lizards are supposed to be on the ground anyway. Go ahead and take your arm and unwind it. Take the leg and unwind it. And then come down into a seat. So from here, leaving your left leg tucked in, take your right leg out. Then slide your hand down towards that foot and reach the left arm up and over. I'm going to reach down deeply through my hip here so that I get a nice stretch to that outer lower side pants area. And then stay in the side bend, but take your left hand now behind your back and try to open up that shoulder. You can even look up if that feels useful or interesting to you. And then stay as open as you can like this as you take that arm up and over your nose again. Right. A big breath in, big breath out. Then lift yourself up. You're going to take a little twist away from the bent leg. And then a little twist towards the bent leg. And then come back to the center. And in between these legs, start to walk yourself forward just as much as feels good to you. And you could just take the fingertips down and support a gentle lean in the heart. You could have the hands behind you if that's going to be more supportive to bring your body forward. And then start to release that fold. We're going to switch towards the other side. It's a lot of hip stuff today. We'll get a good IT band stretch after this. I think that'll feel pretty good. So coming back here, taking your left arm down and then reaching that right arm up and over, relaxing that right hip down as much as possible. Then staying in the side bend, taking your hand behind your back and opening that top shoulder. Maybe even look up to get a little bit more of that openness in your chest. And then staying in it as you reach the arm back over. One more exhale. And lifting yourself up. I'm going to turn to one side and then over towards the other. And release that twist and start to come forward on the inside of your legs just as much as feels good to you. You can have hands behind or out in front. One more exhale. And then starting to lift yourself up. We're going to take the legs, extend them out, and then cross your right leg over. Go ahead and hold this thigh. And then as you pull the thigh in, you might start to get some of this release outside of your hip. You can use your right hand to support you as you take a little twist. One more exhale. And then release your twist and come over to the other side. So you'll cross your leg over and pull the thigh across, softening your belly. One more breath out. And then releasing that twist, unwind your leg. We're going to take both legs out and then bend into your knees. So as you take your elbows down towards the insides of your thighs, bring your palms together and put a little pressure of your elbows into your knees and your knees into your elbows. You can feel your ears lifting up perhaps. And then relax your arms. I'm going to turn over one leg. You'll keep it bent so it's a nice relaxed fold in the back. And then work over towards the other leg, just folding over that bent thigh. And then coming back to the center, we're going to keep the legs bent and then bring the hands back to the backs of the feet, and we can just be on fingertips here. After a bit, you might start sliding your hands back to the outsides of the feet a little bit more. Might hold the backs of the legs in. Many options. You can play around with a few of these. One more exhale. And then unwinding yourself from that. Go ahead and extend the legs out so that might be a little bit more familiar and comfortable. And start with the hands back behind you as you walk your heart forward just as much as feels good. And you can stay here with the heart lifted or walk the hands forward into a fold. It's up to you. One more round of breath. And then relax your arms. We're going to come over towards having your right shin forward towards the front of your mat. Slide your left shin back just as much as feels good to you. And then coming out over your right shin into swan pose. And you could come down as much as you have space for. Staying here a little bit longer for about 5 more breaths. And then starting to walk your hands back in towards you. This leg that's been tucked back, you can bring it forward a little bit so the knee's in front of the hip, as long as your foot's not in close to your hip. And then we'll let the body start to glide back. Maybe you come down to an elbow. Maybe instead of going further, you just let this hip press upwards. So we're getting a stretch to the front of the thigh. On the hip flexor, you could even massage that area if that would be better than going down further. One more exhale. And then crossing your left hand over, using that to kind of paddle your way up. And then switching your legs. I'll just slide to the other side and flip your legs over whichever way feels good. And then you're gonna have this one leg back just as much as you like. It doesn't have to be back far at all. We've got this shin, other shin forward, and you're gonna go forward over that shin as much as you have the space for. Yeah. Staying here for about 5 more breaths. And then starting to lift yourself back up. We're going to take this back leg. If you've got it back behind your hip, bringing it in front of your hip, keeping the foot away from your hip, and then walking yourself back a bit or a lot, maybe coming to an elbow, maybe feeling the hip press up. You can massage the leg if that's useful to you. Taking another deep breath in and deep breath out. Like crossing your right leg over, go ahead and walk yourself up. And then you're gonna come down onto your back. Go ahead and bring your knees into your chest. Give yourself a little squeeze. I'm gonna adjust the lights and I'm gonna go clear out my news. Nope, that way. So from this space, bringing your feet down so that they are about mat width distance apart. And then bringing your arms up and behind your head, you can leave them sprawled open. If it feels comfy to hold on to your elbows, that's another option, but it's in no way necessary. You're gonna let both of your knees roll over towards the right side and then reach that left knee out and away from you. So your left leg, the one that's up in the air, is pretty active. It's really reaching out in space. One more exhale. And then bring those knees back up. And then take both knees over towards the left side, and you're reaching now that right knee, the one that's up in the air, you're reaching it out into space as far away from your body as you reasonably can. See about relaxing your inner armpits, your inside shoulders. And then at the end of your next exhale, bringing your legs back up, bringing the feet a little more towards each other, and then slide your right leg out and pull your left leg in towards you. You're going to use the hands to guide the left leg across the body into a twist. You can open your left arm to open the chest. Keep softening your belly with every exhale. One more breath out. Then returning to the center, you're going to take that left leg and slide it out. Take your right leg and draw it in. And then guiding the right leg across the body into a twist. Taking the right arm out to stretch out across the front of the chest, letting your belly soften inwards. One more exhale. And then coming back onto your back, slide the feet in. So both feet are down on the floor, nice and close to your hips. Let your knees open up and maybe take your hands and catch the outsides of your thighs. If it feels fine just to let the legs fall, you can do that as well. One more exhale. Then bring your legs back up, bring them into your chest and then widen them out, coming into happy baby. So you're reaching up for the outsides of your feet or the backs of your knees, maybe shaking yourself, rolling yourself around a little bit. Take another deep breath in, deep breath out. And then release your feet. Set the feet back down on your mat. Let your knees fall against each other. Take a hand to your belly and a hand to your heart. See if you can start going through some of that gratitude meditation that you began your practice with. Maybe adding on to it, maybe just trying to review it, repeat it. If you would like to rest here with legs bent, you're welcome to stay. If you would like to extend those legs out, finding Shavasana, or maybe even finding a seated meditation, you can take this time or over the next couple of minutes, decide how you might want to change your positioning, taking as much time as you need before you might change your body. And then enjoying this beautiful period of rest. When you are grateful, you are not fearful. And when you are not fearful, you are not violent. When you are grateful, you act out of a sense of enough and not out of a sense of scarcity, and you are willing to share. If you are grateful, you are enjoying the differences between people and respectful to all people. A grateful world is a world of joyful people. Grateful people are joyful people, and a grateful world is a happy world. Gratitude connects us all. As you come back into this body, as you bring yourself back to this world, if you've got any movements to make or deeper breaths to take, eventually bringing yourself over to one side, pausing in that moment of gratitude for practice, for making your way here, for having this space to share. And when you're ready, finding your own version of a comfortable seat. Bringing your hands together at your heart, feeling your heart lift upwards. And we'll seal this practice by releasing an Om together. Big breath in. Bowing down to the love and light that resides within each of our hearts. Namaste. Thank you. Have good days, everybody. The Book of Joy. Yeah. Desmond Tutu. It's such a good read, and it's a light read, and you just fly right through it. I picked it up. I highly recommend it. I have returned to this book so many times.
You know that the book was featured in the Sunday service here.
Oh, really? How lovely. I love that they have such an eclectic approach to this